So I don't know about you guys, but I hope one day I find something I love half as much as Jason Statham loves making the same action movie over and over again. That being said, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So action fans rejoice! Jason Statham is back once again with another action film called Shelter. In this movie, yet again, he's a guy with a troubled past trying to put it all behind him. He's going to have to get his hands dirty one final time. He's going to have to get some justice of his own, and bodies are going to start falling left, right, and center. I know a lot of people like to make fun of this guy, myself included. How can you not? I mean, the titles of his movies, they're like one word, one verb different from one another. It feels like the plot lines of his movies are basically Mad Libs generated at this point. Pick a profession, pick a location, pick a guy with a past, assemble a crew. We've seen it done 1,000 times before, but here to report, he manages to get away with it once again.
You can't keep getting away with it!
Because I had a lot of fun with Shelter, and I think people who like his movies will think the same. Be warned though, this is a lot different than some of his previous works. If you're just picking up on his work in the past couple of years, he's starting to enter cartoon territory where he does Beekeeper or The Transporter, where he's this guy who just fist fights 50 enemies on one. That's not this type of movie at all. In fact, I would say this is one of the more grounded versions of a Statham movie I've seen in quite a while, and I actually like this formula quite a bit. But it feels like he's really one of the only working actors in Hollywood who truly gets action movies. Like, he understands the void that we don't have anymore, but he's like the only guy doing that nowadays. So I feel like fans of his movies, myself included, you guys as well, probably, you just like whenever he makes a movie, even if it is kind of the same as his other ones, because we just don't get action movies like this anymore. He's one of like 5 working stars making this type of movie. But yet again, this is a more grounded version of what he normally does. In fact, I would say this is Statham at his best, because this is a very small scale movie compared to his most recent movies. In fact, I would go as far as to say the action of this movie, as much as I enjoyed it, is not really the selling point of the film. So if you're only coming here to watch him kick ass, it's good. I'm going to get into that in just a sec, but this is more of an emotional story. The backbone of this story is more of a story of like perseverance and guardianship and looking after somebody, father-daughter type of story, than his everyday walk into a building, kill everybody by hand. The movie stars Jason Statham and Bodhi Ray Brethnak. I believe that's how you say that. If I'm butchering it, my apologies, but from this point on, I'm just going to call her Jessie. But the movie stars these two, and it has Jason Statham living on the outskirts of what I believe is Scotland in this lighthouse with the family of Jessie and her uncle. They're not living directly together, but he's living on the outskirts of the lighthouse, and they're bringing him supplies, and they're just kind of getting by. He's living a very secluded life, again, trying to leave that past behind him. When one day this massive storm hits, it like wipes out half the island, it's flooding, it actually kills her uncle. That is not a spoiler, happens within the first 5 minutes. So that's what this movie is, and that's why Jason Statham comes out of hiding, kind of to assume her guardianship, to be her father. This is more of a father-daughter survival movie than his everyday action movie. Which leads me into the positives of this movie directly related to that. I really enjoy whenever this guy does very small scale movies. Again, more of a personal story about character growth and development and whether or not these characters resonate with you. Do not be fooled, there's cool action as well. I really enjoyed the action. I think the choreography of that is great. I think the action you do get, very creative. The cinematography, the way it's all filmed, of tracking shots going through like exploding buildings, car chases. They're very creative with the way they keep the action fresh in this movie, especially one scene related to a nightclub. I thought that entire scene was awesome, and I thought the same in John Wick, so I'm kind of just a sucker for doing that. Feels like a giant video game where you have this father-daughter navigating through this strip club or this nightclub with a bunch of henchmen all armed, and they're trying to stay anonymous. They have silencers, EDM music's bumping. Thought that was an awesome scene. So I thought that was by far the best action of the movie. But aside from that, it's not very action heavy. It's actually a kind of slow paced story of these two trying to get by, get over their past, all of that stuff. They're bonding, which is all moved along by the performances of this film. I've sang my praises enough about Jason Statham. I know some people think the guy's wooden, like he just does the same thing every time. But again, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I think this guy understands what we want in an action star. He is able to sell you, the viewer, on both being this hyper masculine, protecting, guardian type of force, but also being like this nurturing, caring. He just is all encompassing. I think he totally understands the role. Makes sense. He's played it like 50 times now, but I think he just understands the gimmick of what he's trying to do, and he once again delivers on that. So you like his movies, you like his characters, you like the way he acts out this type of role. Nothing different here. He is once again delivering the standard you've come to expect. But I think the best part of this movie is the character Jessie and her acting. The performance of this lead is so good. Like, She is the entire emotional backbone of this movie and what you buy into and what will either move you to really enjoy this film or what might not win you over and you'll think this movie's kind of mediocre. In fact, I was actually getting kind of emotional towards the end of this. It really resonated with me, this story of a person having lost everything, this kind of toughened guy looking after her, guarding her with everything he has. I really enjoy the simplicity of that story. I think this movie is a very well done example of that. So I bought into all of it, and for that reason, it really won me over by the end of the movie. This movie actually kind of oddly reminded me of Terminator 2, both in the way it's structured as a movie and the ending without giving away specifics. This kind of reminded me of the tried and true movie of you have this like robotic character with no humanity left in them. They're just kind of ready to go. And you have this younger kid who is nothing but hopeful optimism. And because of that, they're kind of rebuilding the confidence in the character of the toughened veteran, aka Jason Statham in this film. So you have this like bonding exercise where as the movie goes on, the kid is becoming a little bit tougher, but the adult is becoming a little bit more vulnerable up until the end without giving a whole lot away. That actually kind of reminded me of Terminator 2, hence I was getting emotional. But one final time, I think that is by far the strongest point of this movie. So if you buy into that emotion, you buy into the story, you buy into the charisma between these two, Jason Statham and Jesse, you're probably going to really dig this movie and it's going to stand out amongst the collection of movies I really enjoy, but they're not this type of film. This is a more emotional look at his movies. Now moving on to what I would deem to be the negatives here, there are going to be people who watch this, they're going to be disappointed. This is not as action heavy, not as action centric as they've come to expect. So they're going to be like, what the fuck is this exposition? Where are the bodies? Because it does take a little bit of time to get going again. It didn't bother me because I think at like the 30-40 minute mark, it really kicks into full gear. But getting to that point, the start of the film, maybe first 10-20 minutes, kind of slow because there's not a lot of dialogue. You're just seeing people hang out this lighthouse. And there are going to be people that by the time the movie picks up, they're kind of uninvested because that's just the way things move nowadays. You got to be bang, bang, bang. People's attention spans are fried. You have one main action guy, right? Jason Statham, he's the big action guy. You also have one big bad guy. He's like the super henchman assassin they call in to do the super jobs. We need a guy to kill Jason Statham. Can you kill him? In this movie, they have a guy who they task in to do that. I did not believe this guy for 1 second. I thought his character, absolute cartoon. Both the way he's acted, way over the top, way too serious, like the guy walked onto the wrong set, absolute buffoonery. I also at no point believed his character could actually kill anybody. Falling over his own feet, guy can't drive. Can't locate him. He can't hit a shot to save his life. Sucks in hand-to-hand combat. I was like, you can't find a better villain than this. Didn't buy that shit for 1 second. And the final negative I have is all related to the plot. And I don't know if other people will feel this way, but so without giving too much away, what this movie is about foundationally, basically you have government overreach where in Europe somewhere, or maybe it's just Britain, you're in this like hyper surveillance Big Brother state where they have everything monitored, the cameras, they use facial recognition. That's how they're tracking terrorists. At least that's what they say, but you can kind of deem from it the government is just overreaching completely. So Jason Statham, he doesn't want to deal with this. Hence he's hanging out at this lighthouse. He's off the grid. But because he is asked to get back involved, they can track him by facial recognition. And the way this movie does it, I understand, you want to avoid cameras. You don't want to be recognized. But this movie goes so far in a couple of scenes, the way they utilize camera technology, it feels insurmountable that anybody could ever avoid this level of surveillance. So it's just one of these things where the movie is almost too smart for itself. They create this giant ecosystem of being able to find everybody and scan everybody. It just felt insurmountable for even these guys, these well-trained guys to lay off the grid. They'd find anybody in 2 seconds if this is actually how all of this worked in real life. And then one final negative when it comes to the plot, I thought all of the stuff related to the government and who's in charge and why they have their power and like who works for who, why is that person turning on that person, I thought all of that like espionage stuff related to the government was kind of sloppy. It all just felt very rushed, like they were trying to make a story up around the Jason Statham like daughter relationship thing that I don't really think they needed because I think that backbone is strong enough to carry the movie. But overall, guys, as expected, if you know my taste, I had a really good time with Shelter. I think the action kicks ass when you do get it. I think the character development and I think the interactions between the two leads are very good, especially Jessie. I think she carries this movie, the emotional stakes of it. So I think fans of his will have fun with this film, much like I did. I had a very good time with Shelter. If you guys do manage to see this, come back, comment down below, let me know what you think of Shelter, or let me know what your favorite Jason Statham movie is, or your favorite dumb action movie. Other than that, like, comment, subscribe, hype the video, join the channel. I will see you in the next review. Peace!